guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to start on the painting of this Midnight Pumpkin body. We've got the main part of the body there. We've also got the tailgate, and we've got the piece that the grill and that attaches to. So we're going to start today, get these prepped and start getting them painted. And the paint we're going to use is this Ford Purple Velvet Metallic. So we'll see, hopefully it'll look good, I think it will. So I'm going to get the stuff ready and start the prep work. Right. So I've got some fine sandpaper. This is a 180 grit. I thought I had something finer than this, but I can't find it. So we're going to use this, and basically just going to give the whole thing a gentle rub down just to take the shine off of it and give the paint something to key to, otherwise it will just peel straight back off again over time. So I'm going to carry on with this, and when I've nearly done the whole thing we'll come back. Right. So I've done most of the rough sanding. It's only a very fine sand, you're not trying to put marks into it and take away detail, it's just to rough the surface enough so that the paint has something to key to. And I always use a mild solvent just to go through and have a go, take all of the dust and any particles that are on there that may stop the paint from sticking. I'll give you just make sure there's some left on there. So it's pretty good. Right, just a couple of things before we start. Because this is a plastic and I'm going to be putting a car paint on it, I will be using a plastic primer, which will basically seal the plastic away from this paint to prevent any kind of chemical reaction. And when you're painting, obviously I'm doing this January the 7th and it's pretty cold. I've got a heater in my garage, but the paint cans are still quite cool. So what I would recommend is get a jug of water with some warm water in. Don't make it boiling, you know, just so it's a bit more than hand hot, like comfortable for your hand, and just sit these in it for sort of few minutes at a time. Keep taking them out, shaking them, and get that paint really agitated and warm it up, because the paint will flow better when it's warmer, because obviously it will be just a little bit thinner. And shake the can for at least 3 minutes. If you can't hear the ball rolling around in there to mix the paint, keep going until the ball actually comes unstuck, and then that will help agitate the paint. So I'm just warming the primer up, so once that's ready we'll get spraying. Just so that you can see what I mean, when I first started shaking this can I could just hear the paint sloshing, and eventually after about 30-40 seconds of vigorous shaking you can actually hear the marble running around in there. So that's what you need to get the paint mixed properly. So there we go, we've got this can in a jug of water. I filled it pretty much to the top, because the bigger the volume of water the longer it will stay hot. So it's not too hot that it burns your finger when it's in there, but it's got to be hot enough to get the heat into the paint. So I mean, let these sit as long as they need to. Give them a shake periodically to agitate the paint, so the warmer paint would move in and colder paint will come to the edge. Just do that for 10 minutes. Ideally what you should do is keep them in a kind of temperature where they're going to spray fine anyway. So if you keep them in the house, if you're going to be spraying outside in a shed or a garage or whatever, keep the paints in the house so they're at a sort of reasonable temperature, and then obviously bring them out when you're ready to spray, and then when you finish, take them back in if you're going to use them again. A lot of these paints have been sat in my garage for two or 3 years, so I'm hoping these are still good. So as soon as this is warm, we'll start the spraying. So one other thought, if you are spraying in a garage or somewhere that is quite dusty, what you can do is just spray some cold water around the floor, and that will help keep dust down. It will stick whatever's on the floor, so as you're moving around you won't kick dust up, and then any dust that is floating around that settles on the floor, it will stick into that moisture and it will keep it out of the air. Right, so when you finish heating the paint, dry it off. You don't want to be dripping water everywhere, but if you shake the can, you're going to be flicking water onto the model. So just put that there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray across this way because I don't want to be spraying directly at my camera. I'm going to move the other parts. And if you've got gloves like this, I would recommend wearing them because it keeps the oil from your skin off of the thing that you're painting, so you don't leave finger marks. It's nice and warm now. So basically all we need to do is, whichever way you go, either that way or if you were spraying horizontally, you start spraying before you come onto the object and you do not let go until you've passed it, so that you don't get a blob at the start or a bit of underspray at the end. So keep things moving all the time, don't stop on the thing, and don't get too close, because if you get too much on in one go, it will run and it just creates more work for yourself. So I just try that on there. As we spray, we just keep like so, and that's it. That's plenty. Just do a little bit on the edges, and that's good enough. It's very thin, so a bit of distance is probably better. Yeah, a bit better at distance. So that's that. Now the body. There we are, that's the first stage done. So now it's just a case of waiting for it to dry. Ooh. So we will come back once this has dried, and we'll start with the next one. The next one we'll be moving on to a little bit more sanding and priming with the primer for the actual purple. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Take an elegant classic, give it a custom paint scheme, extend the shackles, mount it on oversized tires, and you have Tamiya's latest customizing achievement, the Midnight Pumpkin.